What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a little late night, chill, talk through and catch up of some of the most recent albums that have come out. Just kind of these late year big releases. I'm talking Zach Bryan and the Sturgill record and Taylor Swift and Koe Wetzel and Randall King, and then a couple songs at the end. I'm going to do this all in one take because I just don't want to edit a lot of stuff tomorrow. So I'll add in little like video clips here and there, but I'm not going to chop up my speech. It's going to be very freewheeling. I don't ever do this on the channel, but with year end coming up, I think I'm going to do 5 year end videos. And so I'm making my lists. I'm checking them twice like Santa Claus, and I just want something simple. So without further ado, let's get into this. The first album I want to talk about is the EP from Zach Bryan called Quiet Heavy Dreams.
There's some headlights burning down the highway, and I think that I may.
This follows his 2 albums, Deanne and Elizabeth, which became these underground sensations. This guy that's in the Navy and just recorded these like super lo-fi acoustic songs that blew up online, and now Zach Bryan is becoming almost this sort of independent country star at the level of Childers and Sturgill, and it seems like even though he is actively in the Navy, it's like his career is going to take off whether he wants it to or not. But I would say the sound of this record, it's produced by a guy named Eddie Spear, who has made a great name for himself as an engineer that works with Dave Cobb, produced this album, and I would say that the production style of it certainly suggests that Zach knows he's going to have a big career because it's a really cleaned up sound. It doesn't feel like it's being recorded in a barn with kind of awkward reverbs and stuff like that. At the same time, it has that kind of renegade, one of the boys energy about it. It's cleaned up just enough that sort of viewers that aren't familiar with him won't run away to the hills, but it also still has like there's yelling in it, and there's still that kind of Zach Bryan DIY quality to it. So I think they did an excellent job on the production. Now, lyrically, this album's super interesting because I think it's well named Quiet Heavy Dreams because it's a lot more dreamlike. There's a lot more role playing on this album. There's 2 kind of violent, murdery songs that are awesome. Crooked Teeth has such energy and drive in it.
Your crooked teeth are floating and my lady's resting fine.
Birmingham is really sinister, and I love it. It also brings in a lot of energy with this kind of chorus of the boys singing like, oh, it's great. There's more kind of dreamy, lovesick moments like on Quiet Heavy Dreams, which is kind of this logger, this like Shakespearean logger that's sawing away, dreaming of this girl. But then there's also these little like things that do really feel a little more autobiographical and have that kind of self-loathing, Zach Bryan-y lyrics. Things like November Air is a song where he seems to be singing about his mother that has passed and just reflecting on what it would be like if she were there with him. On Let You Down, and if that's not a Zach Bryan like sentiment, I don't know what is, but this fear that he's gonna let someone down. And then my favorite song on the record is a beautiful one called Travelin' Man, and it's, you know, about what it sounds like. I just think this is a really cool step for him. I'm really glad to follow the progress of like a star that, I don't know, seems to be trying less hard but making more effective decisions than almost anyone else. And yeah, he's just like making his sad boy acoustic, beautiful, folky country songs, and we love to see it. Then I want to talk about Koe Wetzel's new album, Sellout. Now, Koe Wetzel is someone that I've been on my journey of becoming a Koe bro, a fan of Koe's, where he's just a fun character to follow on social media between like the hunting and the Gucci and the just kind of larger than life persona. He definitely leans into this like punk rock feel, and I'd say he is definitely a rock artist. He's just in the Texas country scene, but I've even heard himself call himself a rock artist, and that's basically what Koe Wetzel is, but we kind of like host him in the country world. It's interesting. But this album, Sellout, the first thing I'd say about it is that it has promo images in the new era. Like you can see his Spotify header is this picture of him with like 2 little horses. It is the most badass promo picture ever. And yet, when you try to find it on the internet, there's only like one site, and it's German, and it's like a 500 pixel image, and they got to lean into that. That would be a great thumbnail image. Maybe I will make it the thumbnail of this video. But Koe is on this album so weird. Like Sellout is a weird album. It's kind of like it's very dark. I listened to it the first few times and was like, damn, I hope he's okay. You know, it follows the same kind of like bad decisions that a lot of his music has, but this doesn't feel so much like reveling in being a party boy. It's very like strung out, and there's a lot of songs that feel less like songs and more just like droning interludes. There's so much allusion to drug use and sadness and getting left behind and broken up, and it's definitely like a party boy breakup album, and I think it establishes that vibe incredibly well. Is it a pleasant vibe to be in all the time? Definitely not. There's certain moments where I'm like, bro, like what's one of the songs called? Like Drunk Driving. Drunk driving again. Sad, formless moment. Same with another song called Side Chick. But I think it's really effective at establishing that vibe. And so it's like a weird thing where I'm impressed by it, even if I don't always love the sound of it. Now, I do love the sound when the album just chooses to truly rock out, when it has like a little more edge, when it goes a little more in your face. Stuff like Country and Western, that song on here. Cold and Alone does the same thing. Sunday or Monday, and Good Die Young. Those are the ones that kind of like rock that I really enjoy. But my favorite song is one, this won't shock you, called Lubbock. And it's where he actually does kind of lean into the countryer, Texasier vibes of this record. And he's going down to Lubbock for the weekend. They're going to have a good time. But I gotta go if I plan on getting ass when I get home. I don't know, an intriguing, weird, sad, dark, sometimes unpleasant, but very interesting album. I don't know what I feel about it. I don't know. But hey, that has kind of been the case the whole time with Koe Wetzel, but I guess that's good. It's way better to be interesting than it is to be boring. Then we had another album from Sturgill Simpson, this one, Cuttin' Grass, Volume 2. And my brain's starting to swirl down the drain this whole world. This is my favorite thing Sturgill Simpson has ever done, like by far. Just like on Cuttin' Grass Volume 1, where he was taking a bunch of his old songs and redoing them with this kind of bluegrass super troupe that he put together. On Volume 2, he's taking a lot of songs, mostly from, I'd say, Sailor's Guide to Earth, but more of his current songs, and doing them with that same bluegrass group. And they feel a lot more like reinventions, because the songs at their base form were much more rock than the early Sturgill stuff, which already was fairly bluegrassy country. And so for all these rockier songs to get kind of reimagined in this way, man, it is so cool and it's so refreshing. And to me, this is Sturgill's competitive edge. Like, I get that he wanted to, when he got kind of popular, he likes to, I think, subvert expectations. And when everyone's like, oh, we have a new savior of country music, Sturgill was like, fine, I'm going to put horns on my record and go fully rock and make a Japanese anime film just to piss all of you guys off and not meet you where you expect me to be. I get it. That's like a total artist thing. But I am so glad he's kind of coming back to this rootsy sound that I think just it's so different when you hear him doing it mixed with his kind of snarling vocal, and he's got such aggression in how he's able to sing. But then he's also able to be really tender, and the music's not kind of competing with it. It's not trying to, I don't know, it's just like I heard his songs anew and afresh, and it made me feel alive. Like Oh Sarah is so beautiful on this album. Call to Arms is such a cool new interpretation. And I think Welcome to Earth, Pollywog, now is like iconic in this version. When you get to the 2-minute mark and it kind of slows down, and normally that was where the song kind of went into this funky like switch up. Now it just kind of gently starts to swell, and you get kind of this like evocative beginning of life. I mean, hello, that's what the song is about. But I'd say like kind of the gentleness of bluegrass strings and their ability to kind of swell and get louder, and it just feels so right for the song. I think that those last 2 minutes of the song are like one of the most iconic moments of music this year. So this is like what I would show anyone who hasn't kind of gotten into Sturgill yet, I feel like this is a great collection of songs. You will really hear the words anew and think about them a lot more instead of vibing with the record. And I think that's one of the beauties and things I love about country music and just kind of acoustic music in general is it sort of invites that. It's not about rocking out. It's not about dancing. I mean, it can be, but it's not about that as much as it is sort of the framework for storytelling. And so anyway, I would show this to someone that has never been that into Sturgill before because I just think it's stellar. I like it a lot more than Volume 1. It's shorter, it's tight, it's great. And I'm going to break my little no editing rule to add this in because on You Can Have the Crown, there's a big lyric change. I mean, Sturgill's always said he doesn't want to sing that song anymore, but he does sing it again on this record, and he changes the line that he once used to sing, years ago, of, if I could just get me a record deal. He's like, Lord, I finally got out of my record deal, and these bluegrass tunes are paying for all my meals, or something like that. But he feels liberated and free, and it kind of goes with his renegade attitude of like, man, it was not all I wanted it to be in a record deal. And I just think that was an interesting, telling, lyrical change tidbit. And then I want to mention another surprise album from Taylor Swift this year, this one called Evermore. The more that you say, the less I know, wherever you stray. Now, I reserve the right to talk about Taylor Swift and any non-country artist on this channel because there's a lot of people that are country adjacent, and Taylor started in country, and I always will have mad respect for her for, in the 1989 era, just literally having a press conference and saying, like, she thinks this is a pop record, and she basically made it a formal transition into pop music.
This is my very first documented official pop album.
Now with these last two records, she has been bringing back this kind of like folkier side of Taylor and this more kind of weird storytelling and very complex lyrics and a lot more acoustic instrumentation and really kind of playing around with this countryer, folkier side of herself. And we're still in the woods on Evermore. We're still in this almost like Nordic place that we got to in folklore, and she is still role-playing a lot. I mean, maybe she's similar to Zach Bryan in this way on his album Quiet Heavy Dreams, where they're taking a lot of time to be characters other than themselves. And this has been an interesting like chip on Taylor's shoulder over the last few years. She wrote about it before Lover, that people always assume her lyrics are autobiographical, and that frustrates her that she's not taken seriously as a storyteller. And you can tell that she has been pushing on these last two albums to make it clear to people that she can tell stories. She's like, I'm going to sing from the perspective of dudes. I'm going to kill people, as she does on this one ridiculous song on this album that's really fun called No Body, No Crime, which is a collaboration with Haim. And it feels like, I don't know, like a Choctaw County affair, Carrie Underwood kind of murder moment. It's very interesting. But yeah, she's like killing people. She's singing from the point of view of dudes. She's having affairs like all over this record. There's this theme of forbidden love. And Ivy is my very favorite song on the album. I think it's so pretty. But then you start to like really listen to it and you realize, oh, it's like pretty dark and she's not supposed to be with this person, but much like Ivy, it creeps. My grandma once told me, Ivy, first it sleeps, then it creeps, then it leaps. And that's what this song does. First, you're kind of like sleeping on it, then it creeps, and then it leaps. And you're like, damn, this song is amazing. So I love Ivy, and I love that saying. Overall, I do think that it's less effective than Folklore. Folklore, we got the surprise of this new kind of scaled back Taylor. And on Evermore, I think it's still cool to hear her in this setting. She definitely leans into kind of glitchy Bon Iver type production on that song Closure, which I don't love. It feels like a little over reverbed and national kind of boring to me. Like there's just darker tones on this album throughout, and it doesn't have the kind of variety that Folklore had, where you did have sort of sweet love songs on it. This is like pretty downer, pretty sad, but often pretty. Tons of great music on here. What else did I love? Champagne Problems. Excellent song and such like cool little details she should write with William Bowery, who is just her boyfriend, Joe Alwyn Moore, because I love the songs they write together. They also wrote Betty. Oh, and there's another moment on here called Dorothea. That is my jam, and that's kind of the Betty of this album. It's like the high school boy. Well, it's not in high school anymore, but he's singing to his high school love. I love that song. It feels very vintage, and I don't know. I enjoy, like, to me, I'm ready to get done with this era now. It's like, all right, that's a lot of music, Taylor, that you have given us to listen to this year. This was a fun experiment. Let's let this sit for a while, but who knows? She'll probably drop another surprise album, and I'm not going to complain. I enjoy that the biggest pop star of our time decided to get super weird and write songs about like heiresses in Rhode Island and affairs that are being had, and she's just like inviting people to dive deep into lyrics and actually think about them, and that feels like a win to me. And then I just want to quickly mention Randall King's new EP, Leanna, because Randall King is someone, I made a video about him earlier this year. People were comparing him a lot to George Strait. I also feel like his voice sometimes reminds me of Randy Travis in that it's, you know, you hear that twangy accent, but at the same time it's so resonant and it's very agile.
Between her love and me, and I miss her.
I love how his voice sounds. This is his first album and it's only 4 songs, an EP as a major label artist, and I think people are always scared, okay, if you pluck someone out of Texas and go to a major label, are they going to lose what makes them special? And he totally doesn't on this. It sounds awesome. Hey Moon is probably the most immediate and catchy song on the album. It's got great steel, and the whole EP has great steel going through it. But my favorite song is probably I'll Fly Away, which is a cover of an old Southern gospel Christian song. And I think he nails it. He makes it much more melodious. I think the guitar is really pretty on that song. And, you know, his sister passed away. The album is named after her. And so it's this kind of moment of like singing her to heaven in a way. And it's a really, just really pretty interpretation of that song. And I've heard a million versions. Okay, and then just 5 songs that I think are interesting and worth mentioning. The first is that Cody Johnson has covered Reba's Whoever's in New England, and it is awesome.
When whoever's in New England's through with you.
You know, Cody and Reba, I'm enjoying that they are in this moment together and kind of simpatico. They both rode rodeo. They both have sung on his new like radio version of his song Dear Rodeo, and now he's covering her song, and so maybe this is going to be like an ongoing thing. But it's cool to hear this song sung by such like a, what's the word, like sonorous big voice like Cody's, and you really can almost hear him longingly croon a little bit. It's great. Then we got Kip Moore's song Don't Go Changing.
Don't go changing on me, baby.
Some of y'all were dragging me, being like, why'd you ignore this song? And it just slipped my mind last time I did a single roundup. But I like this song. I feel like the guitar on it is turned up a little more than it was on Wild World, the album, like on that song Grow On You or Grow On Me, whichever it was called. I always wanted it to hit a little harder, and I feel like the guitar hits a little harder on this, gives it a funkier groove, and yeah, it's just like a good Southern rock song. Eric Church also has a new song called Doing Life With Me. It's a really pretty song.
To the ones doing life with me.
Not a ton of instrumentation happening in it, and it is a song that is coming from a place of gratitude at the people that are doing life with him. I would say it's not a crazy dissimilar theme to something like Holding My Own or even his last single, Hell of a View. What I'm getting intrigued with is like, where is Eric Church going with this album? Because I think it sounds like it all goes together, but the branding around it is very intriguing to me. I mean, we've had 6 songs that are already released with no album necessarily pending. 2 of the covers have been blue, 2 of the covers have been red, and now 2 of the covers have been purple. And certain words are bolded on each cover, and I'm wondering if they're going to spell something out. I'm wondering if we're getting 3 albums. I'm wondering what these colors mean. Is it supposed to be like one side is it political? Is it the spectrum? Is it like him revisiting the themes of his song The Snake and kind of saying like, oh, there's the red and the blue, and then the purple is the rational side in between? Someone else also pointed out that red, blue, and purple are all mentioned in the second verse of Hell of a View. And so I'm just wondering, what is this album? Are there going to be 2 or maybe 3 albums? I love Eric Church, but I'm going to be honest, I don't know if I need 3 albums, but that's just the critic in me that is preemptively stressed about that. 2 funny songs to end things out. The first one is the big TikTok hit, Dick Down in Dallas.
She's getting dick down in Dallas.
The song is crude. It's like meant to be. It's meant to be shocking. It's by a guy named Trey Lewis, and it's about wondering where your ex-girlfriend, what your ex-girlfriend is doing, and all the things that she might be doing with other guys. Is it shocking? Yes. Is it funny? Yes. At the same time, I'm really hoping for Trey that he is able to not become a gimmick, and I think that's going to be the challenge for him, is like, can he capture the momentum of this? Because I think people don't realize how viral it is. It is like not just, oh, this was funny and it went #1 for a few hours. It's a huge song, and I'm interested to see kind of how he pivots from it and what he does next, or if he kind of leans into this. I saw one interview, he said he didn't want to be like a Wheeler Walker character, and yeah, let's just see kind of what happens after this. The last song is definitely also humorous. It's by Upchurch. It's called Said F It. I don't want to get demonetized.
Country music was a rooster. You probably wouldn't know it, don't lay eggs.
And Upchurch, look, if you didn't know, we had kind of a beef last year, and then we buried the hatchet, and I reviewed his newest album. If you want to know more of the backstory, just go to that video. But I think I understand him a lot better a year later. He's an intriguing character. You want to talk about outlaw attitude? Even if I would call a lot of his music more like country rap, he does make just straight up country as well. And then he sort of is a comedian. He's a character. He definitely has like an outlaw vibe about him being in Nashville. And this song is just like pointing a gun at the industry and like taking it to task. Yeah, it's meant to be kind of offensive and in your face. And the video references like Luke Combs and certainly Scott Borchetta and Big Machine Records, and kind of the whole nature of the big city boys in skinny jeans and the big money at the labels. And it's just sort of literally saying like, I don't care, I'm going to do what I want. I don't think it's like meant to be some, poetic, beautiful tale like, Taylor Swift would sing on Evermore. But I think I've just come to understand what he's about and what he represents, and definitely like giving the middle finger to authority and to decorum is one of those things. And I mean, look at me, like I'm like a little hipster dude with my bookcase here. Like that's not like that much my vibe, but then you sometimes watch it and you're like, dude, I have to give you props for your like independence and the fact that you do what you want. And it is compelling entertainment. It is. And that's kind of the 2021 energy I want to bring. I want to say F it to a lot of this kind of idea that I need to be so polite. I'm just getting back to the unguarded YouTube channel as this used to be, and not being such a freaking diplomat, but I'm polite by nature. Why am I analyzing myself? I'll see you guys over the next couple weeks a bunch of times, and I love you. Bye.